What if I told you that everything going wrong in your life was actually put there by you, even if unintentionally? Yeah, I know. It sounds harsh, maybe even unfair, but it's actually freeing, because if life is a mirror, then it's only showing, without filters, what you've been carrying inside: beliefs, fears, patterns, silent assumptions that shape every corner of your reality. The reflection never lies, but most people aren't really ready to face what it reveals. What if you were recreating day after day exactly the thing you've been trying to avoid? Here's a truth many people still resist. There's no point wanting a new scenario if you're still playing the same role. You can't ask for abundance if all you feel inside is scarcity. You can't expect love if you're emotionally abandoning yourself every day. External change never comes before inner transformation. That's where most people get stuck. But it's also where freedom begins. I've known people who spent their whole lives trying to fix the chaos outside without ever looking at the storm inside. It's like trying to clean a dirty mirror without washing your own face. Facing the mirror of life is the first step to manifesting a new reality. So here's the invitation. What if today, instead of trying to control the reflection, you started adjusting the one standing in front of it? Because once you truly understand how the law of assumption works, how imagination creates reality, and how feeling is the secret, you'll never be the same. It's like swapping the projected movie for another one. But instead of replacing the projector, you change the film inside. But before you go out applying all of this, there's one catch. You have to be willing to see what you've probably been avoiding for years. The question is, can you really look? Because if you don't face it now, the mirror will keep showing you exactly what you've been trying to escape. Until when? You know that feeling of "I can't go through this again"? Yeah, the universe heard it. But it also asked, so what are you going to do differently this time? Everything happening in someone's life is, first and foremost, a faithful reflection of what's going on inside. It's no exaggeration to say life is a mirror, and one of the most honest ones out there. Smiling on the outside while holding on to anxiety inside won't fool it. The external world will always reflect whatever's active in your consciousness. It's like an emotional display case exposing the invisible backstage. The situations, the meetings, the losses, even the coincidences, all of it reveals what you're vibrating, thinking, feeling, and believing. Have you noticed how some people keep repeating the same type of relationship? They change partners, but the problems return in different clothes. Or those who jump from job to job, but always run into the same conflicts. That's not bad luck. It's a pattern. And pattern is just another word for internal programming. Neville Goddard explained this beautifully through the law of assumption. What you assume to be true inside yourself, the world will bend over backwards to show you. After all, imagination creates reality. And that's where both the power and the responsibility lie. There's no point seeking a new scenario if the main character is still reading from the same old script. Everything changes when someone realizes that living in the end means feeling like the transformed version of yourself, even when nothing has changed yet. The key is to feel that new state as real, even if the mirror still shows the old reflection. And the best part? This mirror never lies. It just reflects. But what exactly is it reflecting? Well, that's where the journey of consciousness begins. Life is constantly giving you hints. Little repetitions, situations that circle back, emotional patterns that linger. They're all messages from the mirror trying to get your attention. And it's not mystical or complicated. It just takes paying attention. If something keeps happening out there, it's because something's still active in here. Whether it's a controlling boss, an absent partner, or that never-ending sense of lack, it's all showing you what you're silently vibrating. Picture someone who always attracts friendships that take more than they give. Instead of blaming life or other people, the real question becomes, what in me is allowing or even calling in this kind of relationship? Could there be a belief that love must be earned through sacrifice? Or maybe a self-image that links worth to constant overgiving? The real shift happens when someone looks into life's mirror with honesty, without flinching from what they might see. It's like life sticking a post-it on every situation that says, hey, this comes from inside. And instead of ripping it off and pretending it's not there, the idea is to pause and observe. What's happening on the outside has a hidden root planted in your thoughts, emotions, and subconscious assumptions. That's why transforming your inner world is the only path to real change. But before you can shift anything, there's one major truth to accept. The one shaping that reflection isn't luck. It's you, through what you assume to be true. The law of assumption isn't just some pretty concept, it's an active force. According to Neville Goddard, everything you assume as truth in your consciousness starts showing up in your life. In other words, the world doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to who you are on the inside. And the outer mirror? It's always running behind what you've already decided internally. It's not magic, it's mechanics. Imagination creates reality because feeling is the secret that activates the reflection. Take someone who assumes the state of, I am prosperous. Even if their bank account still says otherwise, they begin to think, act, and feel like someone who's already there. And slowly life starts to mirror that. It might show up as new ideas, unexpected opportunities, or a sudden wave of clarity. That's how the mirror works. First you shift inside, then the reflection adjusts. But if you keep waiting for things to change out there before feeling differently, you're flipping the natural order upside down. That's the big secret behind conscious creation. Living in the end, feeling right now as if what you desire is already yours. This shift totally changes how you move through life. Even better, it speeds up the signs because you stop contradicting yourself. Living from the outside in makes you a slave to the mirror. Living from the inside out makes you the artist. And once that clicks, you start seeing something else. The mirror doesn't just reflect your desires, it also shows you what you've been avoiding. And when you finally get brave enough to look at that, that's when the mirror truly begins to change. Sometimes life keeps pressing the same emotional button, especially the one that hurts the most. But it's not punishment, it's clarity. The mirror of existence has this annoying but necessary job to shine a light on what you've been trying to hide from yourself, that old insecurity, the unresolved resentment, the deeply rooted belief that says, I'm not enough. When those pains start showing up in your reality, it's because they're screaming inside, asking to be transformed. Have you ever known someone terrified of rejection, who ends up constantly being rejected in different ways? That's the mirror saying, hey, take a look at this. It's time to heal. Rejection on the outside is often just a reflection of self-rejection on the inside, something that usually flies under the radar. And here's the thing, covering it up with fake positivity doesn't work. The universe doesn't respond to pretty words. It responds to emotional truth. It's your state of being that speaks loudest, and that's exactly what the mirror picks up. And the more you try to run from certain feelings, the more they show up as reality. Discomfort materializes because it's begging to be seen, not avoided. And the mirror has a rule. It only reflects what you're ready to face. So no matter how uncomfortable it is to look at your pain, that's where real change starts. It's where the inner correction of manifestation begins. And guess what? That correction doesn't require perfection. It just needs presence, because only those who face it get to shift the reflection for real. Facing it doesn't mean blaming yourself or falling into the drama of, why does this always happen to me? Facing it is an act of power. It's looking at the mirror of life and saying, okay, this is my reflection, and if I don't like it, I can shift what's inside. That's what true transformation is about. Stepping out of the victim role and stepping into the role of conscious creator. Instead of asking, why me? The question becomes, what inside of me is creating this? That's when the real process begins. Facing it means recognizing that repeating patterns in your life are just symptoms of an emotional program that can be rewritten. It's not about fixing the world, it's about reprogramming your internal system. Beliefs like, I'm always overlooked, I'm never good enough, or I have to fight to earn anything are like invisible codes shaping your reality. And once those codes get rewritten, life starts reflecting a new story. The mirror changes because the source changed. Need a simple example? Take someone who always feels ignored. Instead of blaming everyone around them, they stop and ask, when did I start believing that my voice doesn't matter? The answer might trace back to childhood, in a home where they were constantly silenced. Once they see that clearly, they can choose a new inner state. My presence matters, my voice is heard. But this isn't about repeating empty mantras. It's about assuming that new identity and feeling it. Because as Neville said, feeling is the secret. And the mirror listens to the emotion, not the performance. Transforming your inner world takes more than good intentions. It takes practice. And that practice starts with one powerful question. What inside of me created what I'm seeing out there? Every time something in your outer world triggers you, treat it like an alarm, an invitation to go inward. Instead of reacting automatically, pause, breathe, notice. What emotion came up before this happened? What thought was looping in your mind? This is how you face the mirror of life, not passively, but with intention. Let's say someone gives you unfair criticism and you shrink. You can ask yourself, why does this hit so hard? Maybe deep down there's still a belief that you have to prove your worth. When you spot that old root, you get to change it. How? With new mental rehearsals, with affirmations that feel true, with visualizations where you see yourself responding in a different way. Neville called this creative imagination, rewriting the internal scene so that your outer mirror reflects something new. This practice doesn't have to be heavy. In fact, it can happen in the simplest moments, in the shower, during a drive, or right before bed. Pick one uncomfortable situation from your day and mentally replay it, but this time from a new emotional state. See yourself calm, confident, grounded. Feel it as if it's already true. The more you rehearse this new version inside, the more life reorganizes itself to match. And when this becomes your habit, even the most stubborn patterns in life start to break. Repetitive cycles aren't coincidences, they're reminders. When life feels like it's stuck on repeat, same kinds of people, same struggles, same emotional loops, it's a sign that something in you is still stuck on a loop too. And ignoring that mirror only makes the pattern stronger. Life won't stop repeating itself just because you're tired. The mirror won't get bored. It'll keep showing the same thing until you finally stop avoiding and start looking. The only way to break a cycle is to change who you're being while you're in it. Let's be real. If every time you try to grow financially, something blocks you, a random debt, lack of focus, self-sabotage, maybe it's not bad luck. Maybe it's a deep belief like money isn't safe or I don't deserve more. As long as those beliefs live inside you, the mirror will keep projecting limitations. The fix? Start assuming the state of someone who's already overcome that. And sure, it'll feel fake at first, but this is where faith in the unseen kicks in. Because those who live in the end watch the beginning start to change. Most people keep repeating the same patterns because they don't know they can break them. They think, that's just how life is. But it's not. Life is exactly what you believe it to be. The good news is that it only takes one conscious decision, one inner shift, to start dissolving the cycle. But it takes presence, it takes commitment, and most of all, it takes persistence. Because even after you change on the inside, the mirror might take a while to catch up. And that leads to the next big challenge, sticking with your new version, even when the reflection still shows the old one. Fixing your inner world might sound too simple to be real, but that's exactly where the magic is. When you shift your state of consciousness, life shifts with you. Sometimes all it takes is one tweak. Stop repeating "I can never do it" and start assuming the state of someone who already has. It might feel subtle, but the mirror picks up every detail. A single, sincere feeling of self-worth can create more results than months of pushing and forcing from the outside. Remember that situation that seemed impossible? And then out of nowhere, things started falling into place the moment you let go of control and tapped into trust. Maybe a contact came through, or an idea clicked, or your mindset shifted in a way that made the whole problem dissolve. That's imagination creating reality. It's not about forcing external change, it's about internal alignment. Once you change within, the outside follows, sometimes subtly, sometimes dramatically. And that power? It doesn't come from pushing harder. It comes from surrendering, from choosing to live in a new state, even when no one's watching, even when the mirror still shows the old version. Because, say it with me, feeling is the secret. When your emotion syncs up with your new belief, manifestation becomes inevitable. It might seem like nothing's happening at first, but inside, the code has already shifted. And once that happens, everything starts to change. Of course, there's still one test left. The moment when the mirror seems to be taking forever to reflect what's new. This might be the hardest part of the whole journey, staying faithful to your inner transformation even when your external reality looks the same. Frustrating, right? Feels like the universe hit pause, like your mirror's stuck. But this is your test. The old reflection might linger for a while, even after you've fully shifted inside. And it's not a sign that you failed. It's just the lag time. Life is a mirror, and mirrors don't update instantly. Think about someone who starts to feel prosperous. They stand taller, think clearer, but by the end of the week, their account is still in the red. If they fall back into scarcity, they cancel everything. But if they hold the state, even when the mirror doesn't agree, something starts to move. The key is this: persist in the invisible until the visible catches up. As Neville said, The outer world is effect, not cause. You don't water a seed today and expect fruit tomorrow. But if you stop watering it, well, then yeah, no harvest. The turning point comes when you realize the reflection is just updating. It's like when you change clothes in a dressing room and the mirror takes a second to show your new look. You're already different. You're just waiting for the reflection to catch up. And in that moment, your main job is to protect your new state. How? By repeating the feeling, reinforcing your new identity, seeing yourself at the end. Because when the mirror finally reflects that shift, it'll feel like it was always there. Living consciously means taking full ownership of your reality, not as control freaks, but as people who know their inner world is calling the shots. Because deep down, life is a loyal mirror. It reflects what you consistently vibrate. So it's not about waiting for a miracle. It's about becoming the miracle. It's about nurturing every day inside you what you'd love to see on the outside, through your thoughts, your choices, your feelings. Mastering the mirror of existence isn't about having life all figured out. It's about knowing your power. It's about remembering that imagination creates reality, that the law of assumption is always at work, and that feeling is the secret. It's about letting go of blame, cutting ties with outdated stories, and starting fresh from the inside, with ease, with presence, with purpose. No matter what the mirror has shown until now, it was only reflecting a version of you that doesn't have to exist anymore. Now that you know all this, the game changes. You can't unknow it. Living unconsciously after this is like complaining about the reflection without cleaning your face. So what do you say? Ready to reflect the best of who you are? Ready to rewrite the patterns and transform from the inside out? Because the truth is simple. When you change, everything changes. And the question is, are you finally ready to face that mirror? So tell me, now that you understand life is a mirror, what are you still allowing it to reflect? Are you going to keep repeating the same cycles, hoping the world will change on its own? Or are you going to take back your power and start shifting what's inside? This journey doesn't ask for perfection, just awareness. That's the key to stepping out of autopilot and finally creating a life that feels like yours. Are you ready to fix on the inside what's been hurting on the outside? What pain are you willing to transmute now, just by shifting what you feel and believe? Are you ready to spot the repeating patterns and stop complaining and start reprogramming? Because now there's no turning back. You know that whatever you feel, think, and assume creates. So will you keep waiting for the reflection to magically change, or will you be the one to flip the switch inside, knowing that reality will catch up? If this message stirred something inside you, if it made you think deeper, feel more clearly, or even just pause, then your shift has already begun. And if you want to keep growing on this path of awareness, practical spirituality, and conscious manifestation, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. There's so much more coming. And once you're awake, you'll never settle for sleepwalking through life again.